Good morning, everybody. Hey, welcome to Monday, January 18th. Yeah, I'm not in the office. I'm not in the home office. Where am I at? Well, I'm taking Charlie. Charlie, you want to look here? Hey, look right over here. It's grooming day. So we are heading in to get Charlie groomed this morning. And so because of that, coming to you from the inside the truck, getting ready for our show today with Dave, and some different things that are coming out. You know, the market's not open today, so he and I will have to find some other things to entertain you with today. So hang with us as we get ready to bring you what economic news we can find today.
Live. No, but it is your money, and that's why we're here every morning at this time, even when the markets are closed. Let's find out what Wall Street's been doing with your money over the weekend. And as always, when we check in on finances, we run downtown, check in with Phillip Statler from Statler Financial Services. A blessed MLK Day to you, Phillip. We got a relatively quiet day on the markets today, don't we?
Yeah, we really do, Dave. And I wish I could tell you I was in my office, but I am actually sitting in my truck waiting on Charlie Sue's appointment for her grooming day today. So her and I sitting in the truck talking to you live from Avon Park. So great Monday.
Anybody that hasn't met Charlie Sue knows that puppy is absolutely the friendliest dog I've ever met, but she could use a grooming every once in a while, can't she?
Every now and then. We try every 5 weeks, whether she needs it or not. She usually does need it.
the world's friendliest furball. I like that dog of yours. Setting the table this morning, we had an off day on Wall Street on Friday. Just call it a case of the jitters, and some not particularly great financial reports from the big financials that kicked off earnings season. Dow was down by 177, Nasdaq down by 114, Standard & Poor's was down by 27. Most all of them were 0.5 to 0.75%, and the Nasdaq was even worse than that. I was getting kind of a case of stinking thinking. Then I went across this morning's wire, and with a closed market today for MLK Day, I've got one of my tip sheets saying, expect another quarter of big earnings beats as Wall Street overly depressed the estimates. What's the difference between last week's financials and this week ahead? What do you think?
Well, you know, who knows what the difference is really going to be, but you and I have been kind of talking about this for probably a year or so now. It's how analysts have really lowered their expectations. If we really and truly compared companies year over year and based our market decisions and stock decisions on that information, it would be widely different. And you wonder sometimes why that's not really the case as people look at stocks, because earnings and revenue definitely are down in 2020 compared to 2019. So, but we don't. We base it on what analyst expectations are. And so we get a beat. The stock market usually likes that and starts picking on those stocks. And when a stock misses, Dave, you know, that's really not a good thing at all, because you know those numbers are already depressed.
Yeah, valid point. Yeah, if you miss an already stinking thinking number, that kind of says really bad things about your company's performance.
It really does. So, you know, I think that as we look to this week, you know, earnings will start to roll in. I know we've got a couple big names that they're talking about already. Things like Goldman Sachs and Netflix and Procter & Gamble and United Health Group and Intel. You know, those are household names that provide important services to our country. And so it's going to be interesting to see how those come out compared to analyst expectations.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting earnings season week this week. Normally it's all very well organized. We have the financials almost exclusively for the first 2-3 days. Then we get into some of the other big name players on the markets, and it kind of evolves as the week continues. This time around, we had the first of the financials come in on Friday and got some interesting information off of them. Now there's a 3-day weekend in which nobody's reporting anything because both the bond markets and the equities markets are closed for MLK Day today. It looks like tomorrow we're going to end up seeing a whole Duke's mixture of a bunch of the other early releases in addition to the rest of the big players in the financial market like Goldman Sachs, like you mentioned.
Well, that's true. We're going to have some bigger names come in like Netflix, they're expected to have a net income of like $707 million or $1.35 a share. So we'll have to see how close that is. What this report, this little expectation doesn't tell us is what do they expect in subscriptions and new subscribers, because that's one of the key things that they'll look at when they're looking at companies like Netflix and cable companies and Dish and those type of companies. They want to know how many new subscribers they've got.
And that's kind of the measurement. Netflix always gets a lot more excitement than maybe its portion of our life really is, because it's one of the indexes. It's one of the stocks that's expected to do better during a pandemic time with more people at home. It's one of those rare ones that expected to actually grow year over year.
Well, that's true, because of people keep cutting the wire from cable, and so they continue to expect that their subscriber base should grow. And when it doesn't, then that's not good for Netflix.
Understood. Other things affecting the market, basically the weekend news information about how we're guarding the crud out of every state capitol building. They've got Washington basically shut down. Whole lot of fallout about the slower than expected rollout of the coronavirus vaccines and the like. I'm looking at the futures charts from over the weekend, and they were basically going up and down and staying right around the zero line all weekend long. We could use some good news to start the week out tomorrow morning, couldn't we?
Well, it definitely could, and I'm not sure exactly where that good news is going to come from, but earnings could be one of them. If we can get some good earnings numbers, well, that would help buoy the market to start the week as we get ready to go. Now, we may have a closed market today, but you're going to tell us how Asia and Europe's doing here pretty soon before we close out the show, and that'll be interesting to see how they're doing, because that may be an indicator for tomorrow.
It could very well be, and right now, for what it's worth, not in the business, we call this a tease. I got kind of a mixed bag in the overseas markets today, too, because, well, they're kind of watching our futures to decide which way we're going to go, and the futures really don't look like there's a whole lot of direction there either. It's kind of a pink shade as I'm looking at it. Trading not opening today, but we are actually throwing money around in the futures. At your last check, Phillip, what were we looking at on the index futures out there?
So on the futures right now, it is a mixed bag, and it's basically flat. We got the Dow down $13. You got the S&P up $1, and you got the Nasdaq up $3.50. So, that's nothing really in the whole scheme of things. I find it interesting. We got oil trading down though a little bit, about 1/3%, and the U.S. Treasury, 10-year Treasury, is yielding down, and this is probably as of last Friday, but trading down about 0.4%. So down to 1.087. So heading back down again.
Yeah, that was interesting because it stabilized for a little while in there, and the yields actually started to go back up again. Now we're looking at the notion of them, buying more bonds and just basically parking their money for the weekend.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's what I'm thinking we're seeing there. And so it's, we got some gold and silver numbers out there again. I guess those are live numbers because they trade across the world. But gold's actually trading up 0.25% this morning, Dave. And the silver's up about a little over 1/3%. So we're seeing those things getting some good movement this morning.
Understood. With that downward movement on the crude oil, by the way, it's still over $52 a barrel, which ain't too bad at the very least. Those overseas markets you mentioned, a pure mixed bag. The Asian rim was completely mixed. Japan was up by a little bit, but the mainland Chinese markets generally are down a little bit. Mainland Chinese markets, though, for the most part, were up by a better part of 1%, in some measures more. Europe is trading. Again, it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day here, but over in Europe, it's called Monday. And we've got the indexes there just, 0.1% or so either side of the zero market, so there's no trend whatsoever over in Europe either. Phillip, it's a holiday on the financial markets here, but your money is still sitting up there, and if it's a lot of volatility and there's a lot of risk in your portfolio, that's not good news. How do I find you to get the risk out of my portfolio?
Yeah, you're right, Dave. I was sitting down a couple of weeks ago with a client, and they had some money in a 401k. And we did their risk number, and then we did a risk number of their total portfolio, and they were really surprised with how much risk they really had in their current portfolio. And so, folks, if you don't know how much risk you have in your portfolio, please give us a call and let's walk through our financial x-ray. All you have to do is give us a call at 863-382-0037. Go to my website, statlerfinancial.com. There's a link to my calendar there. And then catch us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. at noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk, 730.
And you'll be back again tomorrow morning with Scotty, who's going to sit in for me for a couple of days while I go hide from the Buccaneers fans because I'm cheering for the wrong team this weekend.
That's right, man. Hey, you enjoy a little downtime up in the Panhandle, and I hope you're wrong about the game this weekend.
Like I said, it's a good time to hide from all my friends, all my Bucs fans. The Bucs are my number 2 team, but they're playing my number 1 team this weekend, and I can't help it. Phillip, thank you so much. We'll catch you in a few, all right? I think he's gone. It's 105.7 Light FM in Statler.
All right, man, have a good day.
Phillip Statler. Wedding.
Hey, everybody, I hope that you have a great day. I hope your week is off to a great start. I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow. Take care. Bye now.